Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. Welcome to Naval Aviation Officer Candidate Online Lesson Series. In this particular video, we are most definitely going to go over part 1 of our math lesson series. In this entire video, we will go over 12 different problems on this math skills for your test. And as you already know, you cannot use a calculator. So when I show you all of the math, what I do request is for you to bring out a notebook and a pen and paper so that you can note down any interesting or important formula that you probably did not know of before. And at the same time, you can pause the video whenever I show you all of the questions. You can actually pause and then you can try to do all the math on your own. And once again, you can rewatch to look at the solutions, and this is how you can actually assess yourself, right? And if you do want to assess yourself more, we have an ASTB tutoring app that you can download from our Apple App Store or Google Play Store. You can also request for one-on-one tutoring in either of these apps because we do provide that. We provide personalized services curated to your needs. At the same time, there is a prediction test in ASTB tutoring app, which probably will give you a very, finite result of what actually you are going to get if you do attend the exam. And at the same time, there are 1,000+ successful candidates who are using our app. So make sure that you do give it a try. And without any further ado, let's get ahead with the video. If you see problem number 1, it says if 12p plus 4 equals 130 minus 3q and q equals 2p, what is the value for p? So to start off, what did the question ask? The question asked for p, right? This means that we need to substitute what is inside q inside this given equation. How do we do that? The given equation is 12p plus 4 equals 130 minus 3q, right? So in the case of q, we are going to write 2p, just like this. And then we are just going to use basic algebra to figure out the value for p. So let's continue. So it's going to be 12p plus 4 equals 130 minus, let's break the parentheses here. It's 3 times 2, which is 6p. Later on, let's put all of the p's onto one side. 12p, because it's minus 6p, bring it to the left side is going to be plus 6p equals 130. Putting plus 4 to the other side is going to be minus 4. So that makes 18p equals 130 minus 4, which is 126. If I do that, p equals 126 over 18. If you simplify it, it's going to be 7. Okay? Hope you got this one right, which means that the correct answer for this is B7. Let's move on to the next question, all right? Let's clear this. Let's go to problem number 2. What is the midpoint of the line segment joining these 2 points? First of all, it's a part of coordinate geometry, which means that you do need to remember the formula for a midpoint, okay? So what is the formula? The formula goes like this: x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. You can actually note all of these down with a pen and paper on any separate place that you do want to, all right? Because maybe you're getting to know all of these concepts for the first time. All right, first of all, we have 2 different coordinates here. The first coordinate is always x, and the next one is always y. But because we have 2 sets of coordinate, let's name this 1 and let's name this 1. Let's name this x2 and this y2, all right? In that regard, we can actually put all of these down into the formula, which means that it's going to be 6 minus 12 over 2, comma, 5 minus 9 over 2 again. All right, 6 minus 12 is going to be negative. It's going to be negative 6 over 2. And this is also going to be negative 4 over 2. And if you simplify it, it's going to be what? Negative 3. If you simplify this one, it's going to be negative 2. So my correct answer is, once again, it's B, negative 3, comma, negative 2. Hope you got this one right as well. All right, let's move on to the next question. So for problem number 3, we see find the second number of 3 consecutive integers if the sum of the first and the third is 38. All right. So for this particular question, we need to know what consecutive integers are. Integers are whole numbers like 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1.5, 2.3, numbers like that are not integers, all right? And consecutive numbers are the numbers that go right next to each other. Like right after 1 is 2, right after 2 is 3, right? So if I ask you, if the number is x, what is going to be the next consecutive integer of x? It's going to be x plus 1. You know why? Because the consecutive number of 1 was 2, which means that there was a 1 gap. The consecutive number for 2 was 3, which means once again there was a 1 gap. So if there are 3 consecutive integers, one is x, the other is x plus 1, and the other is going to be x plus 2. All right? Then the question says the sum of the first and the third is 38. This is the first number and this is the third. So we can write x plus 2 equals 38. In doing so, we can actually add up x and x together, which is going to be 2x plus 2 equals 38. Now if I simplify it, 2x, putting 2 on the other side is going to be negative 2. So 38 minus 2 is 36. So therefore, x is going to be what? 36 over 2, because putting 2 on the other side is going to turn the multiplication to division. So if I divide it, it's going to be 18. Once again, my correct answer is B. For some reason, the answers are turning out to be B. Is it a curse or what? I don't know. Moving on to the next question. Is this answer also going to be B? Let's see. So for number 4, we have A equals 2B and 3B equals 24C. Find A in terms of C. All right, let's properly do it together, okay? We never know. It can also be some other option. So we need to find A in terms of C, which means A has to be on the left equals, there has to be something in the middle, and then there has to be C. So is there any letter B in the answer that is required? No, there's not, right? Which means that B needs to be eliminated. To do that, what we can first do is, let's say my answer here was what? This is 3B equals 24C, right? That is what was given, right? So let's now try to figure out the value for B. So if I put 3 on the other side, it's going to get divided, which means that it's going to be 24C divided by 3. And in doing so, we get 8C. However, my question says A equals 2B, right? So because we have just found out that B equals 8C, if I substitute B in this part, that is going to be 2 times 8C, right? And 2 times 8C is what? 16C. Got it? So the correct answer here is C, which is 16C. So far, so good. Let's move on to the next question. Let's look at problem number 5. Here, we have something that probably looks complicated in the first glance, but trust me, it's very simple. So we have a little bit of a simplification here. We have 6. We have a parentheses and then there's a cube. So first of all, what we do is we break the parentheses, okay? So to do that, we have x squared here and then we have a cubed here. So directly we can write 2 times 3 as 6 on top, okay? And then once again, we have y and then we have a 3 here and another 3 over here. So directly we can write what? 3 times 3 as 9 here, okay? And in the bottom, let's put things as it is. Now what? Because we are done getting rid of all the parentheses, let's now simplify. So for 6 and 4, let me cut it down to 2 times 3 and 2 times 2. For the x's, see, it's x over 6 and x over 6 is completely the same thing, which means that if you simplify it, it's just going to be 1 and 1. For the y's, we have y9 and we have y5, so which means that we are left with y4. So the answer to this is 3y4 over 2. 3y4 over 2. So the correct answer here is option number D. We're done with 5 problems, guys. I hope you're getting all of these correct, all right? Do let me know if you are. Let's move on to problem number 6. We have another simplification type question. This time we also have a square root over the entire thing. No problem at all, because this means that individually we are doing the square root of 16p to the power 4 and the square root of p to the power 6. All right. So there's a basic rule of indices that you do need to know, and that is if there's a square root of any letter, let's say that's a, it's actually a to the power of half. All right. So let's look at this. For instance, this is a square root of 16, which is kind of simple because we know square root of 16 is 4. And how did we get it? Because we know 4 times 4 or 4 squared is 16. So if you do the square root of 16, it's going to end up as 4. However, for p to the power 4, what do you think is the square root? See, if there's a p squared and if there's another p squared getting multiplied to each other, in that case, we are getting the p to the power 4, right? Which means that if you do it the other way around, the square root of p to the power 4 is going to be what? P squared. Divided by now what? Or what times what is 6, really? Because 2 times 3 is 6 and 3 times 3 is 9. So then, how are we supposed to solve this? We can break it down in this format. P to the power 6 is on itself the same. However, there was a square root. And remember, square root represents a to the power half, which means that we can easily put a to the power half here, right? In that case, if I simplify the powers, it's going to be p cubed. So in the bottom, I can just write p cubed. And now we can do the basic simplification because there are 2 p's here, p squared. There are 3 p's here, p cubed. If I simplify it, there's just going to be 1 p in the bottom. So the correct answer to this is going to be 4 divided by p. So the correct answer here is option number A. Hope this answers. By the way, we're already halfway done through our lesson, and let's move on to problem number 7. Before we start problem number 7, I'll just point this out. There was a slight error in the question. I'm going to point with a green. The correct answer does have a square here. It's not going to happen in your actual exam, just clearing it out. All right, so moving on. So the question says, if a plus b whole squared equals 12 squared and ab equals 8, then what is a squared plus b squared? First of all, let's break this formula down. I think we already do know this formula. We've learned this in elementary school, right? A plus b whole squared is a squared plus b squared plus 2ab, all right? So in that regard, a squared plus b squared is whatever that we are supposed to figure out here. And this entire thing represents a plus b whole squared, right? So we can just write this equals 12 squared, just like it says on the question, right? So while doing that, we can also see that a squared plus b squared brings itself down. And in the case of 2 times ab, we can actually write 2 times what? ab here is 8 equals 12 squared is 144. So a squared plus b squared is going to be what? Equals 144 minus 2 times 8, and that is 16. So if you do 144 minus 16, you can do the basic math here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's 8. That's going to be 2. 14 minus 2 is 12. So the correct answer for this is option D, 128. All right? Hope this clears itself out. And with that being said, let's move on to problem number 8. Express the product of factors x squared minus 11x plus 24. So to start this off, what we need to know is we need to know how to solve quadratic equations. And there's a format which is called middle term break, all right? So let me just break this down. So if you want to go through middle term break, generally there are 3 terms in middle term break, all right? The first term and the third term needs to be multiplied for the very first step. So in this case, x squared does not have an a in front of it, see? Which means that the first term here is 1. And the C, the separate number here, is just 24. So 1 times 24 is 24. Let's bring out other factors. We also have 2 times 12, which is 24. We have 3 times 8, that is 24. We have 4 times 6, which is 24. We don't have any other factors that's left. So then what we do is we just put down the first term and the third term, and in the second term we put a gap. Why? Because now we need to add or subtract the factors that we have just figured out to get to the second term. The second term here is minus 11. We need to know what gets added or subtracted to figure out minus 11. Like, we have 1 and 24, right? So if I add them up, it's going to be 25. If I subtract them, it's going to be 23. So neither of it is minus 11. 2 plus 12 is 14. 2 minus 12 is minus 10. So not. 3 plus 8 is 11, right? So see, we're getting somewhere. If 3 plus 8 is 11, what will actually lead us to minus 11? What do you think? Minus 3 and minus 8 will lead us to minus 11, right? So that's exactly what we are going to write in this case. So we are going to write minus 3x minus 8x, all right? And then what we do is, for the first two terms, we're going to take x common. So x being common is going to be x minus 3. And then for the next two terms, what can we take common? We can take minus 8 common. So if I take 8 common, it's going to be x minus 3 all over again. So that leaves us with x minus 3 and x minus 8. And as you can see, the correct answer to this is option number 8. All right? So we're done with problem number 8. As you can see, we have 3 more left. In problem number 9, we have what is the value for x in the following equation. So we have a very simple equation here. To solve this, we need to know that whenever we have two fractions on both ends and we have an equal sign in the middle, what we can do is we can cross multiply, all right? What I mean by that is we can multiply this with this and this with this. That's how it works. So if I multiply this to this, it's going to be 5 times 2 plus 3x. And once again, if I multiply this to this, it's going to be 3 times 5 minus x. All right. Now let's just break it down. So 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times 3 is 15 minus 3 times x is 3x. All right. Now, if I put all of the x's together, it's going to be 15x plus 3x equals 15 minus 10, right? So 15 and 3 is 18. 15 minus 10 is 5, which means that x equals 5 over 18. And as you can see, the correct answer to this is option number C. All right? We have 3 more to go. Let's move on to problem number 10. If 8 equals y plus 4 equals 5 on 2, in that regard, what do we have for the value for y, right? So first of all, what we do here is, because we have something as a power, in questions like this, what we try to figure out is if there's another number like this, we will also try to figure out what is this as a power. Now, because we have 8 in this case, this means that for 5 on 2, we are supposed to figure out what is 8 to the power of representing 5 on 2. Got it? Let's say there was like 2 to the power y over y plus 4. On that case, if whatever number you do get here, it's supposed to be 2 to the power of something. If it's a 4 here, it should be 4 to the power of something. Got it? So my first task is to figure out, because there's an 8 here as a base, we need to figure out what is 5 on 2 as 8 to the power of, all right? So to do that, what we can do is we can do just basic simplification. Like, we know 8 times 8 is 64, which means what? Which means that 8 squared is 64. So now let's see what is 8 cubed of, all right? So to figure out 8 cubed, what we can do is we can just multiply 8 to a 64. So to do that, 8 times 4 is 32, carry the 3. 8 times 6 is 48, plus 3 is 51. So see, that clears it up. So this means that with 8 squared, if there's another 8, that brings us 8 cubed, and that brings us 512, right? So for the first half, that is what we need to spend our time with. So this means that for 512, we can write 8 cubed. And then, because the bases are the same, the powers are now going to be equal to each other again. So that's how it works. So to figure that out, we're going to write y equals 3 minus 4. And the correct answer to this is minus 1. So the correct answer here is option D, minus 1. Okay? We have 2 more to go. Let's look at problem number 11. The coordinate, once again, we have another coordinate geometry sum, right? The coordinate of point A is 1, 3. The coordinate of point B is 5, 7. What's the length of AB? So to figure out the formula for length is very simple. It's root over x2 minus x1 whole squared plus y2 minus y1 whole squared, all right? Just like I said, if there's any new formula that you've just seen, make sure to note it down on your notebook, all right? So the first thing we do is, just like that previous math that we did, we need to label these as x1, y1, and x2, y2. So for x2 minus x1 is going to be what? 5 minus 1, right? So 5 minus 1 whole squared plus y2 minus y1 at 7 minus 3 whole squared. And then you put a square root on top of the whole thing. 5 minus 1 is what? That's 4. So 4 squared is 16. 7 minus 3 is what? 7 minus 3 is 4. 4 squared is 16 once again. So that gives us what? 16 and 16 is square root of 32. As you can see, we don't have that option, which means that we need to break down square root of 32 like this. So let's put 2 first. So we know 2 times 16 is 32, 2 times 8 is 16, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 1 is 2. Because it's a square root, this means that we need to put the pairs together. We have 1 pair, we have another pair, and we have a 2 that's remaining. So if you want to write it like this, you can actually write 2 squared, again a 2 squared, and again a 2. So this square and root are going to get cancelled out. It's just going to be a 2. Square and root cancelled out, just going to be a 2. But this 2 doesn't have anything to get cancelled out, so it's going to have the square root on top of it, which means that 2 and 2 is going to be 4. So that's 4 root 2. So the correct answer to this is B, 4 root 2. All right? The last sum remains. Let's look at problem number 12. Solve for y in the following inequality. So to solve any sort of inequality, the first step that you do need to do is we need to look at the inequality sign as just a plain equal sign, all right? So let's do that. That gives us negative 3y greater than or equals to 21 plus 6 is what? 22, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That gives us 27, right? And in the next step, we are most definitely going to put the negative 3 onto the other side and get it divided, right? So while doing so, we do need to change the sign. You can ask why, right? The only time you do need to change the inequality sign is if you divide anything that you see on the left that is a negative and bring it to the other side, and then if you divide it, that's the only time that you do need to change your inequality sign, all right? For any case, let's say if it's like a minus x less than or equal to minus 5. So for the next line, what we do is we need to put whatever here that we see, which is a minus, that's a minus 1, right? If I put the minus 1 onto the other side and get it divided like this, that's the only time that you do need to change your sign. Then the minuses are going to get cancelled out, and that's going to be my final answer. I just showed you an example so that you do get this perfectly. So if I now simplify it, it's just going to be what? While less than or equal to negative 9. And as you can see, the correct answer to this is option number B. So with that being said, if you do want more practice materials, make sure that you do download our app, ASTB Tutoring. You can find it on Apple App Store or Google Play Store. We have 1,000+ successful candidates who are currently using our app. We also have a prediction test in our app, which gives you quite a very exact result of what you're actually going to get if you do attend the exam. And at the same time, you can request for a one-on-one tutor if you do need personalized services. And in our app, you you can find various such model tests and other practice materials that I am sure that you are going to find all of these very, very helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you do look at our app and try out our services yourself.